Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So today I want to talk about a discovery I made in Catania Cemetery in Sicily, Italy. And that is the crystal tomb of Angelina Miccio. So let's get into it and I'll tell you a bit more about Angelina's story. In the cemetery of Catania, Sicily, a beautiful girl lies in a crystal coffin, covered in flowers and still wearing the same wedding gown and hairdo as 100 years ago. She's a mummy, and her name is Angelina, or better known to the locals, La Bella Addormentata, the Sleeping Beauty, much like Rosalia in Palermo. Angelina was born on the 10th of November 1891 and died on the 20th of April 1911, jumping off the tower of a castle that her father was building for her as a wedding gift. This wasn't Angelina's dream wedding or dream partner. This is an arranged marriage her father set up with a lawyer 20 years older than her. To no avail, she tried to stop the marriage, and then one day she realised it wasn't possible and made a fatal decision. Angelina grew up in the high society of southern Italy, her father being the rich owner of one of the biggest European factories for tanning of hides. Their mansion was located right in the heart of the city, where Angelina, always accompanied by her mother and sisters, could walk the most exclusive boutiques. Even though Angelina had a life of privilege thanks to her father's wealth, there were many things that Angelina couldn't do. For example, while her brothers attended school, Angelina and her sisters were only allowed basic home lessons, like learning how to read and make calculations for household bookkeeping. She found these lessons tedious, but even more dull were the long sessions of sewing and instructions on good manners. Grace and obedience were the goals of good education for women, as her father often used to say. That year, Angelina turned 16. She was finally allowed to follow her parents for evening visits to friends and relatives or outgoings to the theatre. Before that age, southern girls were required to stay at home supervised by their servants. That same year, a historical event took place in Catania, the Universal Expo of 1907. All the Italian nobility came to the inauguration, following King Vittorio Emanuele. Angelina was also present at the event because her father was one of the organisers. Among the noble guests who kissed her hand that night, unbeknownst to her, there was also the lawyer she had already been promised to by her father. Unaware of the promise that had been made on her behalf, Angelina was living her life with light-heartedness and the dreams of typical young women of that age. One day, a distant cousin of her mother's came to town with her son Alfio, and Angelina was immediately smitten. She felt shy and excited at the same time, a sensation she had never experienced before. Then she felt sad when the day after, her mum talked about the misfortune that had befallen on her cousin and her son. The smart kid, she said, had to leave university after his father died and was now scrambling to support his mother. "But we can help," cried Angelina, trying to self-contain her emotions for fear they could be visible. "I am not going to embarrass my cousin with our lifestyle," firmly replied the mother. "After all, it was my cousin's choice to make a low marriage. Now love doesn't feed her son, does it?" At this point, Angelina had lost all hope to see Alfio again. But then, a couple of months later, the boy was finally hired by her father as an accountant in the family factory. Angelina was ecstatic and didn't miss an opportunity to visit her father's office, often electing to do small errands just to see the boy. She was right. Her feelings were mutual and quickly grew into something important. Soon, Alfio promised to talk to her father and ask for a hand in marriage, sure of a positive answer considering all the praises he received at work. 2 years passed like this, between handwritten notes and sweet promises of life together, until the day Angelina turned 18. Unbeknownst to Angelina, Salvatore, the lawyer who was now in his 40s, had been waiting patiently for this day. And like those people who had never understood love, he never questioned if the girl was happy. After he and Angelina's father discussed the dowry, the money, the house, the deal was made. That night, and for many other nights that followed, Angelina cried and cried, until one day she found the courage to approach her mother and confess her love for Alfio, but her mother hastily silenced her, commanding that she never dare say a word of this to her father. Angelina was devastated, but there was still one last hope, Alfio, who would surely talk to her father and ask for a hand in marriage. And perhaps this would have happened if a series of circumstances had been different. For example, if the wedding announcement had not taken place in front of the whole factory. This was painful for Angelina. She didn't know of the necessity to work and survive because her heart only knew love. The wedding dress fitters started soon after, with the seamstress constantly having to narrow down the waist and the chest of the gown. Angelina in fact was not eating anymore, and the castle was progressively taking shape, with her father proudly calling it the envy of all people. The castle, however, would have never witnessed the fairy tale. One ordinary day, at the age of 19, Angelina jumped from the tower. She did it for love and for protest. After her death, Angelina was once again trapped by her father's will, this time trapped into a body destined to remain young forever. Her father ordered her body to be embalmed and fashioned as a bride, with the same wedding gown and hairstyle she was supposed to wear the day of her wedding. Then he ordered that her body be placed inside a crystal coffin, which was secretly transported inside the family mausoleum at the cemetery. Nobody in the city had to know what happened, since the way she died was considered a great dishonor. They told people Angelina died of a sudden illness, to keep it a secret. And to keep it even more secret, a special wooden panel was placed in front of the coffin, which could be lifted up during family visits. The years passed, and then the years became decades. Forever young Angelina, the Sleeping Beauty, saw everybody age but herself. Then, as soon as her parents died, she was forgotten. It was too shameful for her siblings to talk about the deceased aunt to their own children. Nothing good, they thought, could come out of it. It would either have stained the family name or given a bad example to the kids. Almost a century passed, the world changed, and so did Catania, her city. Carts and horses were replaced by cars. Women started working and even driving. Some believe that perhaps it was just the right time for Angelina to wake up. One night, grave robbers looking for treasures entered the mausoleum and broke the wooden panel that had hidden the mummy for so long. Now everybody who walked through the cemetery could see Angelina. Her father's will was finally broken. One by one, people from the city started bringing a flower, or a simple doll, to the Sleeping Beauty, as they called her. The city soon learned her true story, and loved her for who she was, not who her father wanted her to be. And of course, the Sleeping Beauty didn't wake up from her sleep as in the fairy tale. She did something even more important. She woke the conscience of the people and became a symbol of women's strong will. For Angelina, the desire for self-determination was more valuable than her own life. She was a precursor of a new culture where women could shape their own life and destiny.